Hello viewers, my name is Antony Mugambi. Welcome to our today's lesson, grade 6. I am a teacher at Green Angels Mugumo. Today we shall be handling about the circulatory system, that is our strand. The substrand we shall be handling components of blood, Before we go to components of blood, you are aware that the circulatory system is made of 3 main parts. We have the heart, we have the blood, and we have the blood vessels. These are the parts that makes up the circulatory system. Today we are looking at blood, and when we are discussing about blood, we discuss about the blood components, the components that makes up the blood. So we shall be having the major components that make up the blood, the major components of blood. These major components are, the first one that we are looking into is called the platelets. That is one. Number 2, we have the red blood cells. Number 3, we shall be having white blood cells, the white blood cells. And finally, number 4, we have blood plasma. These are the 4 components of blood that we have. We have the platelets, we have the red blood cells, we have the white blood cells, and finally we have the blood plasma. These components, they have their shapes. And they have different shapes. The first one, which is the platelet, this one is our smallest blood component. It is our smallest blood component. They look like these. These ones are the platelets. The red blood cells, this one is normally circular in shape. It is disc-like. We normally say that it is disc-like in shape. It looks like a disc in shape. The white blood cells, this one, it doesn't have a regular shape. We normally say that it is irregular in shape. When we talk of irregular, this one is irregular in shape. And inside this, we have a nucleus. When we talk of irregular in shape, we mean that the shape of white blood cells keeps on changing from time to time. So it doesn't have a definite shape. It keeps on changing. In red blood cells, it's disc-like. disc-like in shape, and inside it doesn't have a nucleus, unlike in the white blood cells where we have a nucleus inside. When we come to the plasma, we normally say that it doesn't have a shape. No shape. Why does a plasma doesn't have the shape? The reason is plasma is the liquid part of the blood. We normally say that plasma is the liquid part of the blood. And having discussed on the properties, that is on the plasma doesn't have a definite shape. We normally say that liquids, they don't have shape. They occupy the shape of the container. So with that aspect, that's why plasma doesn't have the main shape, because it is the liquid part of the blood. Having looked at that, learners, let us have various functions of the blood components. Let's have the functions of blood components. Good. In this one, we are going to state the component, and the functions on the other side. The first component, learners, that we discussed was plasma. Plasma has got a lot of functions. One, of course, we have seen that this is the liquid part of the blood. Plasma is also the main part when we come to the main blood component that we have. It is the plasma. The reason why we are calling it the main blood component, the other blood components are found within the blood plasma. So it carries, or we can say it transports other blood components. When we talk of transporting other blood components, the other blood components that we have discussed, we have the platelets, we have the red blood cells, we have the white blood cells. All those blood components, they are found within the blood plasma. It is the work of the plasma to transport them. Another function here of the plasma, it is the one that transports digested food. Digested food, that is transport of nutrients from where the absorption of digested food takes place, that is in the small intestine. Then the plasma transport the digested food so that we can have energy to do work. Another function of plasma, it is the one that transports heat in the body. It transport heat in the body. When we talk of transport of heat, the heat is produced by a body organ that is called liver. when the heat is produced in the liver, it is the work of the blood plasma to transport that heat to our body parts. Plasma also transport hormones. It transport hormones in the body. It also transport waste product. Transport waste product. When we talk of transport of waste product, we have various systems in the body called the excretory system that excretes waste, like urea. Carbon dioxide is also a waste that is produced by the lungs. It is the function of this component that is called plasma to transport this waste product from the excretory organs. So it transports the waste product. These ones, don't forget that plasma is the largest part of the blood. It is the largest part of the blood. The largest part of the blood. Learners, having looked at that, you can now be able to highlight different functions that are played by the blood component known as the plasma. Let's have a look at the function of the other blood components. Remember, we have said that plasma doesn't have a shape because it is the liquid part. It is the liquid part of the blood. We have another blood component from the plasma. Let's have the white blood cells. White blood cells. White blood cells, these are the ones that help to fight germs. They help to fight germs. They act as the defense forces of the body. They fight the diseases, the germs that causes diseases. Remember, we have said that this one has an irregular shape and inside has a nucleus, and that one is the only function of the white blood cells. Then we have red blood cells. We have red blood cells. The red blood cells, these ones are the ones that transport oxygen in the body. Transport oxygen in the body. Transport oxygen in the body. This oxygen, we get it from the lungs. That is, after we breathe in, the exchange of the gases takes place in the lungs. We take in the oxygen and we take out the carbon dioxide. So the red blood cells, their responsibility, they are the ones that transport oxygen in the body. How does it transport oxygen? The blood cells are the ones that contains hemoglobin. They contains hemoglobin. This hemoglobin is the pigment that gives the blood its color. Hemoglobin. So the red blood cells are the ones that contains the hemoglobin. This hemoglobin is the one that combines with oxygen here So we have the oxygen, which combines with hemoglobin, and they resort to forming something called oxyhemoglobin. And with that now, that is how the red blood cells transport oxygen. We have said that it contains the red pigment that gives the blood its color. This pigment is the one that we are calling hemoglobin, and it is the one that combines with oxygen to form oxyhemoglobin. We have another blood component that is called platelets. Learners, we said that platelets are the smallest blood components that we have. They are the smallest blood components that we have. What is the function of the platelets in the body? Platelets, one, they help in clotting of blood. Help in clotting of blood. When we talk about clotting, in case of when you have an injury or you have cut yourself, after the bleeding, at sometimes that bleeding stops. It stops due to the clotting. That clotting of the blood is caused by the platelets, therefore preventing excessive bleeding. Number two, the same platelets, it prevent the entry of germs. Prevent the entry of germs. It prevents the entry of germs. Learners, note this. We said that the white blood cells, they fight germs. But in platelets, we are talking about preventing the entry of the germs. That is after clotting. We have discussed the four blood components. The four blood components, where we began by the plasma, then we went to the white blood cells, we have the red blood cells, and finally we have the platelets. We have also, learners, discussed the shapes of these components of the blood, where we began by saying that plasma doesn't have a shape. And we said the reason why plasma doesn't have a shape is because plasma is the liquid part of the blood. We talked about the shape of the white blood cells, where we said it is irregular in shape, and inside it has a nucleus. When we talk of irregular in shape, we said that it keeps on changing. That means it doesn't have definite shape. And we said the function of the white blood cells is to fight the germs. We have also discussed about the red blood cells, where we have said that red blood cells, they are disc-like, circular in shape, and inside, the difference between the red blood cells and white blood cells in their shape is that the white blood cells inside has a nucleus and it has irregular shape, while red blood cells is disc-like and doesn't have a nucleus inside their shape. We have seen that the work of the red blood cells, this one transport oxygen. That one, learners, they will make you not to confuse between the functions of the plasma and the functions of the red blood cells. Plasma, we said it transports digested food in the body, while the red blood cells, we have said it transports oxygen in the body. We have said it is the one that holds the pigment that gives the blood its color, which this pigment, we have said it's called the hemoglobin. And when oxygen combines with this hemoglobin, it forms oxyhemoglobin, and that's how the red blood cells transport oxygen in the body. We have also talked about the platelets. Platelets, we have said, plays two functions. One, it helps in clotting of blood, where we have said this is in case you have an injury or you cut yourself, therefore minimizing excessive bleeding. And we have seen that it also prevents the entry of germs. And we have seen the difference between the function of the platelet and the white blood cells in terms of germs. One is fighting germs, that is the white blood cells, while the platelets is preventing the entry of the germs. So learners, you are supposed to note that. From that, I'll give you a simple way of remembering the functions of the plasma, because they are quite many. Functions of plasma, they are quite many, and therefore so that you can be able to differentiate between the functions of plasma and other blood components. All right. Let's take these points down, learners. These are the functions of plasma. It's a song. Plasma. We have said they transport carbon dioxide. Put into bracket, multiplying by 2, transport carbon dioxide, transport digested food, right there, digested food, and heat. We have seen also it transport heat from the river. It also transport hormones. Hormones and waste products. From the organs. And finally, you write here, it is the largest component. The largest component that we have. So, learners, these are the functions of plasma. You listen to me as I sing, then you'll be able to understand the functions of the plasma. Then you ensure that you practice the song so that you can be able to understand the functions of plasma and be able to distinguish the functions of the plasma from the functions of the other blood components. Learners, the song goes like this. These are the functions of plasma: transport carbon dioxide, digesting food and heat, also transporting hormones, waste product from the organs, the largest component. So there is a multiply by 2 here so that you can be able to get the tune. I'll repeat, then we are going to sing together. These are the functions of plasma: transport carbon dioxide, digesting food and heat, also transporting hormones, waste product from the organs, the largest component. So learners, sing with me. Good. With those, you will be able to note that, as we have discussed, that the plasma transport the waste product. In this case, carbon dioxide is one of the waste product which is excreted by the lungs. We have transport of digested food. We have also talked about transport of heat, which is being transported from liver. We have also talked about the transport of the hormones. We have talked of the transport of the waste products from the body organs, that is the excretory organs where the waste product is produced. And finally, we said that this one, the plasma, is the largest component of the blood that we have. So learners, those are the functions of the blood that we have and their functions. Quickly, let's have a recap of what we have discussed today. In that, you are going to respond to these questions. 1, you are going to discuss the components of blood that we have. Discuss or state the four main blood components. Number two, you are going to write or to draw the shape. Give the shape of the blood components that we have, of the blood components. Number 3, discuss the functions of each blood component. Discuss the functions of each component. Discuss the functions of each blood component. learners, when you're dealing with the first question, state the 4 main blood components. State the 4 main blood components. 1. Good. We have seen that the blood components, we have the plasma, as you have seen. We have the platelets. We have the white blood cells. And finally, we have the platelets. Learners, question number 2 was supposed to give the shape of the blood components. Let me see what you have drawn, the blood components that you have drawn. Good. The first blood platelets, that is the plasma, we have seen it doesn't have the shape because it is the liquid part of the blood. Number 2, the red blood cells. Red blood cells, as you have drawn it, that one is disc-like in shape. It's disc-like in shape, and inside doesn't have a nuclear. Good for that. We have the white blood cells. White blood cells, I have seen you have also got it right, where we have seen that it is irregular in shape and inside it has a nuclear. There's a nuclear here. It has a nucleus and it is irregular in shape. It is irregular in shape. It keeps on changing the shape. And finally, we have the platelets. Platelets. These ones we seen, they are the smallest blood components. They are the smallest blood components. The other question, learners, you want to discuss the functions of each. The functions of each blood components. Having discussed the functions of the components of blood that we have, you are supposed to respond that question correctly. Maybe we can begin with the smallest blood components, that is the platelets. Let me help you answer that question. 1, we have seen that this is the blood component that help in the clotting of the blood. And in this clotting we seen that is when we prevent excessive bleeding from our body. Then we seen that they are the ones that also prevent the entry of germs, that is after the clotting of the blood. We have the white blood cells here. These ones we send, they act as the defense of the body. They defend the body, that is by fighting germs that causes diseases. So the work of the white blood cells here is to fight the diseases. The red blood cells, we have seen that this one contains the hemoglobin, where we have seen that hemoglobin is the pigment that gives the blood its color, and it's also the one that combines with oxygen. Therefore, concluding that it is the work of the blood cells to transport oxygen in the body. The blood plasma, We have discussed a lot of functions of the blood plasma. We have discussed a lot of functions, and we have come up with a simple mnemonic that can be able to make us remember the functions of the plasma, where we said that we come up, we sang a song where we said that the song goes like this. These are the functions of plasma: transport carbon dioxide, digest and food and eat, also transporting hormones, waste product from the organs, the largest component. Therefore, in that simple mnemonic, we are able to remember the functions of plasma, that is transporting carbon dioxide, which is one of the waste product. We have also transporting of digested food, where we say that digested food are transported from the ileum, where the absorption of digested food takes place. And then we have said that it transports the waste product. The waste products from the excretory organs. In that, somebody asked a question here. How is being a liquid part of the blood a function rather than the description? Learners, we said that plasma is the liquid part of the blood. The liquid part of the blood. The reason why we said this is for you to be able to understand that being a liquid doesn't have the shape. So we stated that plasma is the liquid part of the blood, and that is what makes it to transport all the other blood components. We said that one of its function, it is transporting other blood components in the body. With that, learners, don't forget that also this one is the main blood component that we have, simply because the other blood components are within the blood plasma. With that, this one let me remind you the functions of the plasma. Functions of plasma. Thank you, my learner, for telling me to remind you the functions of the plasma. We have seen, let me briefly write it here again. These are the functions of plasma. 1, transport carbon dioxide. Then carbon dioxide, you put it into bracket, times 2 there, because you are going to mention it twice. Transporting digested food. Digested food. It also transport heat. It also transport hormones, transport waste product from the organs, put it times 2. Then finally umalizie hapo na the largest component. The largest component. Learners, listen. This is the tune of our song. These are the functions of plasma: transport carbon dioxide, digesting food and eat, also transporting hormones, waste product from the organs, the largest component. So the tune is from Mungu Baba Twaomba. So you get the tune of the song. I will sing again, I will repeat again so that you can get it clearly. Then you repeat after me. These are the functions of plasma: transport carbon dioxide, digesting food and heat, also transporting hormones, waste product from the organs, the largest component. Now we can sing together, learners. These are the functions of plasma: transport carbon dioxide, digesting food and eat, also transporting hormones, waste product from the organs, the largest component. So learners, we are going to be practicing this song so that it can make us be able to remember the functions of the plasma and be able to differentiate between the functions of the plasma and other blood components. Learners, any other question concerning the blood components? If none, any other question from the blood components? Thank you. If there's no other blood components, kindly practice the song, sing it to your guardian there at home, and make him or her know that you have learned a song today that will enable you to remember the functions of the plasma. Thank you for listening to me. Bye.